Welcome back to another episode of Weiss Advice. I am your host, as always, Yonah Weiss. We have an awesome guest. Once again today, we have Christina Kovacs in the house. Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you, Yona. I'm so excited to be here.
Yeah, well, in the virtual house, really. I mean, you're in your house
Yeah.
and I'm in mine. Well, my office. I
Yep.
don't live here, but it's good. It's good to finally connect with you on the show, Christina. Been many years. We've been connected and doing business and just watching, from the sideline. And we just found out today on the LinkedIn yearly wrap, right? That you want to share what the news
Yeah.
was?
You are my number one person that I connect with. So you showed up in my year-end review for 2025
That's awesome. That's so
today
cool.
out of all days. So
I know,
pretty
right?
cool. Yeah.
That's pretty
It's
cool.
an honor to be on the show. I mean, I've been following you and learning from you in so many different ways over the years. So I'm excited to chat with you.
Likewise. So for our
Yeah.
listeners who may not be so familiar with you, I would love for you to give a little bit of a background. Obviously, the pretty much common denominator of everyone on the show is real estate. But love to
hmm
hear how your background, how you got involved, what you're currently working on, and what that looks like.
Yeah. So real estate's been a part of my life since 2009 with the first house that ended up being a live-in flip unknowingly. We did that house down to the studs and renovated it and ended up flipping it, doing the same thing with another live-in flip, another one. And then we started getting into flipping single family. So then I got my real estate license as well to pair that up. Started doing working for a boutique agency doing flips with him as well. So I was able to learn from someone who was flipping 20 properties a month. And that kind of gave me a baseline for our project management. And I learned a lot along the way and could sell some real estate and make some income on top of it while trying to hustle those flips. And then just some long-term rentals decided to hold some without flipping them anymore. And short-term rentals had three in three different states in 2015. Started with that, and that was wonderful. But the winter states and short-term rentals and being in Florida was a lot. It was quite daunting and a little bit more of a risk with snow and the liabilities there. So we now only have one True Love short-term rental, and it's an hour and a half away from us, so we can actually enjoy it and but also make some money off that as well. Then in 2021, 2020 started doing some of the virtual conferences and
Right.
learning more about multifamily. And my mind just got blown wide open. And like, I need to pivot and we need to scale because one house at a time in different states, it was quite a bit, and with knowing that we could scale and really make the most of our time and efforts, we pivoted into multifamily. And so that's when I got into multifamily in 2021.
Yeah, very cool. There's so much to learn from that. I mean, you really took a journey in your real estate career, right? There's so many different
Yeah,
things,
yeah,
kind of trial and error, it sounds like, right? What
totally.
worked for you back in, 2009, like definitely is not what's working for you today.
Right. But man, I'm so happy for those experiences because I mean, my dad flew in to teach me how to lay drywall, tile, all of it. So I know how to get these things done. I will not get screwed over by a contractor ever because of those skills. So
For sure.
they come in handy and they work themselves perfectly into the current person that I am today and professional. So
For sure, absolutely. And I mean it's incredible because you're able to you do pick up a tremendous amount of skills when you're flipping a house and doing the
yeah,
really grit hard work doing that. But
yeah,
at a certain point, you have to realize, okay, is this scalable? And is this something I really enjoy doing the most, or is there something else?
right,
Like you said, 2020 started mind being blown by things you never even knew were out there and available. I think a lot of
right.
people have that similar experience, especially I remember when I first got involved in real estate about 10 years ago or so. And yeah, I didn't know really much about syndications or about, commercial
hmm
real estate and the extent of it. And I saw people doing it, and I was like, "Whoa, wait a second! How are you doing that?" I
Yeah,
remember the first time I came in contact with someone. Well, maybe not the first time, but one of the first people. This guy was buying like triple net properties, for like
hmm
every other week. Like he was buying these like for like a million, 2 million, $3 million. Like, wait a second, how in the world are you doing this? And you realize it's other people's money. Like he had investors, he had
right.
people doing this with him. I was like, wow, that's just incredible. And you learn so much
Yeah,
along the way, you know, But more importantly, I think for you especially, right, you have also, you're a broker as well, right? You have clients
Yeah,
who are investors, and you're able to kind of share that wisdom with them and give them the, kind of
for
insight
sure.
that you have.
So one thing with me though, I most things I do are joint ventures.
Mhm.
Syndications I haven't personally dived in. I was an LP, yes, and I've worked
Right.
in a one syndication, but ultimately I really wanted to prove myself and show
Mhm.
my efforts and my the assets that I have and how well that they performed and that we did the business plan according to how we said we were going to. And now, after all these years, I am confident as ever to actually do a syndication if we can get a property under contract, which is really difficult. But that's the next step I do see is getting into syndication more and getting investors in. But I have the track record is there and the confidence is there now to pitch these deals that are been phenomenal for me and I know could help others too. So
What's your favorite? I mean, what would you say right now? Like based on what you currently own, obviously you're in a few different deals, but they're a
yeah,
little bit of different asset class, right? You mentioned your multifamily, RV park, and things like that. Like what are you
yeah.
focusing on, or what would you say is your favorite kind of asset class right now?
Multifamily. The RV park was a little shiny object that I wish I wouldn't have done.
Oh,
It's
really?
great. I love my partners though. I want to put that out there. My partners are the best, but the RV park is just a different beast in itself. And that's one thing like going into 2026, I'm really going to start honing in on one lane and no more shiny object. I'm not going to allow myself to go there and just protect that time and be more intentional. So multifamily is my favorite asset class. And out of the multifamily properties, honestly, I love all of them. It's my a little 8 unit that just does phenomenal on ROI. And then my 54 and 43 that I have, same thing, just great partners are executing flawlessly. There's some bumps right with delinquency, especially like right now as we speak. We're having
Mhm.
some
Oh,
issues around the holidays. But that's okay. Like we work through it. And the things that we've learned from, especially on the 43, the third party property manager,
hmm.
those learning lessons of that have been invaluable. Because when you have a bad PM, you learn the hard way in a lot of things. And you need to step in. So we have had that situation. And for the past 2 years now, it's been running seamlessly.
Yeah, that's an interesting, point you raised. I've also heard that and personally had some experience with bad property management.
Hmm.
It can, kill a deal. You can have an
Oh
incredible
my God.
deal on paper, and then the management just kills it.
Yeah. I mean, we went back and did a deep audit and found things. I mean, first of all, was not the lead operator on that deal initially. I am now, along with my other partner, Deb. But we went back and did a deep audit on every single transaction in the general ledger, and the things that we uncovered were just like, unreal. So that property manager was out, and then we got a new property manager in. But when we got that new property manager, we went out to every single property manager in that market, and there was only 11, but still every single one see if there's interest in our building. If there was, then we sent them 42 questions to answer on a Google sheet. Yeah. Um, and whoever took the time to actually answer those questions, then great. And there was only three.
Wow.
So out of the few that were interested, the three actually wrote on there. So we were able to compare and contrast across the board what the answers were on each question. How they answered the question was part of it, how quickly they got back to us. And then we took two to interview, and now we've had the same one for 2 years. And we've even asked her if she wants to be partners with us in the future, and she's just interested in managing. That
Right.
she's just phenomenal. So a little needle in a haystack for sure. But you've got to do your property due diligence as you would in purchasing a property. Just like they're the ones running it every single
Sure.
day. And if you're not a good asset manager who's managing that property manager, anything could happen. And you're just letting money fly out the window.
Sure. Yeah.
So,
I mean, I've seen fraud take place. I've seen, yeah, like you said, just
hmm.
crazy amounts of money. One, a good friend of mine also recently shared how he had at one of his properties, like every single water bill for the past like 12 months were late. And so he had late
No.
charges that the property management was just they just were not on top of it. So on top
Right.
of the bill itself, there was a late charge, like for no reason
Right.
whatsoever. In fact, except for the fact that they were, not taking care of it on time. So there are little things like that. And like you said, if you did like a full audit on every single transaction
Hmm.
from the ledger, I'm sure you'll find a lot of things. I'm curious to know
Yeah.
if there was anything that like when you did those kind of audits that jumped out at you.
Lunches that were bought, the price creeps that happened with
Mm,
just garbage disposals or anything in particular, or cleaning fees that just were a certain amount, and the next thing you know, they're 30% more, and you know someone's pocketing that, right? So
mm,
there just were small price creeps you don't notice, but you do notice when you look at the ledger or you look at a T12 on that line item. So we now track, we have videos of every single unit now. We track each unit's CapEx by every major appliance, every small system that there is in that unit, carpets being replaced, when it was painted, the date. So when we look at that one unit, we can look across the board and see the date that all of those things were done. And we also, there was like multiple appliances bought for the same unit, and it just got overlooked by the team that was leading charge initially. But nothing will pass by us now. I mean, actually, just 2 months ago, we noticed that our property manager didn't charge her fee, and she overlooked it. And so we told her, I'm like, you please charge us for that month that you missed. And, so she's missing things too. So you have to stay on top of it. And she didn't mean to, obviously, she wants to get paid,
yeah,
but things can get overlooked when they're managing hundreds or thousands of properties. So,
right. Yeah. Better to
yeah.
go with a smaller person, for that reason
Right.
alone, for sure.
Yeah.
What about on the other end when you were
Yeah.
doing the interviewing? You mentioned that you had like 42 questions that you're asking.
Yeah.
Like, what types of questions were like, obviously, I'm sure there were some
Basic
standard
ones.
questions, basic
Right.
ones, but some out
But
of the
then
box questions?
also, how do you like to communicate? Are you okay with email? Are you okay with us reaching out? Are you okay with confrontation? Because that's the thing. I don't want to have someone feel like they're being attacked when really we're just having an open forum and
Hmm.
this is how we communicate. So find that like-minded person. Then things as much as what do you normally charge for a 1.5 ton HVAC? Because they're all over the board. How much
Right.
are you pocketing, right? So on your
Hmm.
end. So
Interesting.
different things like that that are specific, that we know we can track and know our best situation with them. But communication was one of the number one things, really.
For sure. That, I mean, obviously that's obvious. I think really,
Yeah.
really a good property manager, you want to make sure that you're able to, get through them, when
Yeah,
something comes up or just in general, you want to make sure, they're managing your property. This is in many cases, a multi-million dollar investment and
exactly.
they're like basically taking care of it for you.
Right.
So babysitting it
Yeah.
for you and much more. So we want to make sure that they're in good communication as always, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. You mentioned that you have the one short-term rental left that
Hmm.
obviously you use
Yeah.
for some personal use as well, which is great to
Hmm.
have a property like that. Is
Yeah.
it you mentioned you had sold off a bunch. Is it something that, you're interested more like in pursuing that asset class further? It's just like, no, we'll just keep the one vacation property that we
Just
actually
keep
like.
the one. It honestly, I'd rather pay to stay somewhere going forward
Hmm.
and wherever I want to go, right? Like than own something in a place. Again, there's especially in a winter climate, too many liabilities as I mentioned. But yeah, to find that perfect cleaner, your cleaner is your property manager without them even knowing they're your property manager, but they are.
Right.
So finding that person that you trust immensely and can provide the place where you'd want to stay at, because that's the thing. There's so many short-term rentals that came on the market during the pandemic and the quality. I won't even stay at one anymore. Like I
All right.
I am all in a Marriott. Like it just to me to know the standards there unless I see an Airbnb that or if it's a unique situation where I need to sleep 20 people, we want
Right.
a chalet in the mountains. Um, but honestly, the standard is not there like it used to be, or the people aren't taking it as seriously as they should. So,
Hmm. Interesting. I feel like
yeah, I
it's
don't know.
still a very hot market in terms
It
of,
is.
people buying them or, using them as investment properties. And I would assume people try to take it seriously, but I definitely hear your point, right? That they're
Yeah. I've stayed
personal
at a
experiences.
couple, yeah, a few years ago. I was just kind of over it, it's just not as clean as you want it to be. And you don't even know, like, obviously, even the comforters never get washed, right? But at least in hotels, you have duvet covers that you know are getting washed, and just simple things that
Right.
standards. But
I hear that. Yeah, that's a big, I mean, it's a big differentiation. I think maybe if you're, planning on going to an Airbnb, you have to take that into consideration. Obviously, it's not going to have the same
yeah,
standards as a hotel.
no,
So I guess
exactly.
it's a balance, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
Very, very fascinating. Tell me,
yeah.
you have any stories for us about some of these properties or tenants? You mentioned right now you have a little bit of problem with the tenancy right now and maybe some vacancies. But I know every single property owner out there has had at least one story that is like worth writing a book about.
Yeah, I mean, as far as taking a property over, especially and the tenant base you inherit, we've had a situation where we had extremely large reptiles, like big snakes. And then he would breed the rats in the other room to feed the snakes.
Hmm.
And obviously there was a non-renew happening there. But even when my partner sent me the photos, I'm like, you should have warned me before I opened that damn photo because I don't like snakes either. So it just gives me the heebie-jeebies. But imagine you're living next door to that, right? Like, I don't know. So we
That's
had that situation. We also have just smokers that
hmm
we, like, they've been smoking there for years prior. So you have I mean, you have to shellac those walls. There's no paint that could ever cover smoke. So
right,
it's just a matter of you got to go in and know your CapEx budget for some of these tenants you inherit, those units.
right.
But yeah, as far as delinquency, that's just something that I've one of my partners is extremely good at pretty much having 0% delinquency or maybe 5%. But honestly, I don't know fully how he does it. But for mine with a third party property manager, it's really hard to get them to manage that properly. Like, there's only so many notices you can send, and
Right.
obviously vetting them ahead of time, having standards of prior. But this is also Class C building, so it's just I think just the way it is. You have to accept that and account for that in your underwriting. There's going to be a certain level of vacancy that's going to be higher than normal than a Class A. So,
Fascinating. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously one of the biggest things I've heard in terms of what makes you the money is you make your money on renewals, whether
hmm
renewals or whether they renew or not. Meaning if people stay, you don't have to renew. So you're going to make the money because the turnover is going to be hard. So I want to make sure that you're finding the right
yeah,
tenants to begin with. But when you acquire a property,
totally.
obviously you have to look at the tenant base that's already there and see, how are we going to maximize profit on this property? Is everyone going to stay or not? Right? That's probably the biggest question.
And one thing we've been implementing the past 2 quarters is offering staggered lease end dates and
Hmm.
varied
Okay.
pricing for each of those lease options. So a 12-month lease versus a 17-month lease or 24-month lease, giving discounts for that. But that 12-month lease is going to be a little bit higher than maybe if we just sent out a 12-month renewal to them. And so actually we're gaining more upside when people pick the 12-month because we wouldn't have hit them as hard as we would have with just one option. But when they have multiple options, then it's within their power and their control to pick,
Right.
and also less likely to say no. So
Makes sense. Definitely.
yeah,
We started off the call talking about LinkedIn, which to me,
yeah.
obviously, it's one of my favorite topics. It's something that I feel very passionately about. And I remember you had
hmm
participated in one of the challenges we did a few years ago. I think prior to that, you had like zero exposure or very
Yeah.
little whatsoever to LinkedIn and social media. It's a beast of its own, right? And really, it's
hmm
not built for everyone. But I'm curious to hear what's been your experience with has it actually helped you? Because I'd love to hear in terms of has it actually helped contribute to your business? Have you found partners through it? Have you found properties
Yeah.
through it? Have you found brokers, things like that? Like, is it actually helping or is it just a big waste of time?
No, it's actually so just recently it's been so powerful. With that last challenge you did, something just changed or clicked for me personally, where I was posting just, I guess, better quality. And it was attracting the right people to me. And in that situation, I have now networked with more people locally, which
Hmm.
is big because I'm actually going to be transitioning into commercial real estate brokerage as
Oh,
well next
cool.
year.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So anyone from banking locally to other local CRE brokers, I've just been networking a lot more locally and getting part of local CCIM and crew. But it all started with LinkedIn to get those connections to see who was going to what, who the players were or are, and it's crucial for that. You just got to weed through all the DMs, right? But that's it. And then even a Hungarian reached out to me who is an underwriter, and so I'm sending some things off to him to see how he comes in on some of the deals that I'm sending LOIs to. And who knows, maybe he'll help me be an analyzer on these deals. So,
That's the power of network, and I think
yeah.
probably you shared. I remember you were sharing some really great quality content the last challenge as well. So it's no surprise that you attracted
Mhm.
the right people and especially
Yeah.
local people. And it's funny, I do remember you were sharing something about a trip that you had made with your family to Hungary.
Hmm.
And obviously that attracts people who have that connection. That's the
Right.
power of social media. When you have something, it's okay to share personal stuff and to share things that are not necessarily quote unquote business related because people relate
Yeah.
to the individual and they're going to see
Yeah.
something about you that they connect with. And had you never
Yeah.
shared that, you'd probably never have that relationship or that connection with that local underwriter.
Totally.
That's
Yeah.
incredible. Well, Christina, I want to
Yeah.
transition now to what we call the final four. These are four
Okay.
questions I'd like to ask all my guests. And the first question for you is, what is the worst job that you ever had?
I hate waiting tables. I lasted a couple days. Um, when I was in high school, was working in a greenhouse. I'd do anything, to make a buck. But waiting tables was just not my thing. So that is it.
Very hard job, right?
It is. Yes. I give
I
all the credit, bow down. I cannot do it. I dropped a steak right in front of the person. And I was like, this is just not for me.
Wow, that must have been embarrassing. Like that's
It
hard.
was. Yeah.
Okay, second question for you. What is a book you've read that's given you a paradigm shift?
So in 2020, when I was alongside going to some conferences about multifamily, I read Brian Murray's Crushing It in Apartments and Commercial Real Estate. And that book, I was like, that's what I need to be doing. And he was kind of, I'm a do it myself type guy. And so that was a good way for me to pivot in because that's what all I've ever known. I never partnered up before. And so to see that someone was building it on their own and then they partnered up afterwards, it was a really good story of kind of his bio, really
Yeah,
inspiring.
that's actually was I think the first real estate book I read as well.
Really?
Yeah, like way back in the day, and
Yeah.
fascinating because I just met someone else when I was in Los Angeles for one of our meetups that we're doing around the country in
Hmm.
different locations. Maybe coming to Florida, who knows? Maybe
Yeah.
soon.
Yeah.
But I met someone there who said also like he had um, that was like a book that totally he got into real estate because of that book. And
Yeah.
then he connected with me through Brian Murray because like
Wow.
he had reached out to Brian about
Yeah.
something having after read his book and like had after buying his
Hmm.
first property just to kind of thank him. And he was I don't know what it was, but like my name came up somehow, and then he ended
Hmm.
up connecting to me through that. So it's just incredible how the
Cool.
networking all happens.
Yeah. It's such a small world in the end, right? It's
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't even
incredible.
think like, hey, who's this, Brian Murray, like, who's this huge guy, this
Yeah.
huge, an
Yeah.
author. When you read a book, I think a lot of us have this impression like, oh, he's an author of a book, like he's, some
Yeah.
superstar and hard to get in contact. But many of them are, very, very personable.
Exactly. I mean, even LinkedIn superstars like yourself or Amy Silvis. Like I saw Amy speak in Kansas City, and I just was like, oh, she's a real life person, not just on LinkedIn. I'm so inspired by her posts all the time. So, yeah, it's pretty incredible, like how we just all connect and keep growing together. And you
For
never
sure.
know. And I coach with Mauricio Raoul and his
Yeah.
connections. with Ken McElroy, and everyone's kind of connected. You're what, 7 degrees separation, they always say, but it's getting even tighter and tighter and tighter.
I think it's much
So,
tighter for sure. Much
yeah,
tighter than that. Probably like 3 degrees at this point.
right. Yeah.
Especially with LinkedIn, it's incredible how you can connect with so many people
Mhm.
around the world.
Yeah.
Third question is going to be, what's a skill or talent that you would like to learn? And this can be
So,
anything. It doesn't have to be business related.
all right. I'm gonna go. So I learned a little bit of Hungarian to get my Hungarian citizenship. So my daughter, we want her to learn Hungarian as well. So I want to master that as well. And so the whole family can speak together when we're traveling. And then if I can learn Spanish, well, not if, I should learn Spanish because I live in South Florida. So languages are a huge one for me.
Hmm.
And then professionally, my 2026 goal is mastery. So I really want to master and be a thought leader as much as I can in commercial real estate.
Love that.
So
Tell me,
yeah,
if you don't mind, we kind of skipped over, but you mentioned in
yeah,
passing, and that's really a skill that you're moving into in the brokerage side. How did that come about? And
yeah.
maybe we can re-edit this back into the first part of the episode. But either way, it's
Yeah. No, 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 no. Yeah. So since I had my daughter, she's 8.5 months old, time is so precious now than ever was before. And I just realized that with my residential sales or anything I was doing residential, not including my short-term rentals or long-term rentals, I just need to hone in and focus and do the one thing, as Gary Keller says, and just become a master in commercial real estate. And that's it, and not get shiny object syndrome with RV parks or anything else, any flips. So yeah,
that's. But I mean, in terms of the brokerage side, like that's something that
that's
sounds
part of
like.
it. Yeah, I want just like 'cause my residential brokerage, I want to dissolve and find the right brokerage to hang my license with and grow with them locally. And who knows, maybe I'll start investing locally because right now it's just been the Midwest and a little bit in PA.
Hmm.
But being in my back, it's not as easy either as to get on a flight to
Right.
go to my properties. I want to go do the walkthroughs,
Sure.
but it's just not as simple as it used to be. So I think being local and making these connections here and being a broker in commercial real estate is going to be tremendous. Um,
I think so. I think I
yeah.
would happen to agree with that. I think it's probably one of the biggest steps you can make is to
Hmm.
get that and get totally immerse yourself in that, and then find deals.
Yeah.
I know a ton of commercial real estate brokers who are also owners as well, and find
Yeah.
it is a little bit, it can be, you get to that potential conflict of interest if
Hmm.
find a great property, like, I should really provide
Buy
this to
that one.
my clients, or to my,
Yeah.
but that can be a challenge, but I'm sure you'll figure that out.
Sure.
Awesome. And fourth and final question, what does success mean to you?
That my daughter is proud of me and looks up to me and sees the things that I've done in the past and aspires to be something like me a little bit. That would be ultimate. Um,
Awesome.
yeah. I'll
That's lovely.
teary eyed that
I
one.
love that. No, I mean
Yeah.
it's beautiful. I think everyone has a different definition, but I think you got yours locked in. I think it's extremely important for a
Yeah.
mother, and daughter relationship as well. So good for you. Glad to hear that.
Mhm.
So finally, Christina, where can our listeners find you or reach out to you if they want?
ChristinaKovacs.com. And then my LinkedIn's there, all the links, the social. But yeah, I would love to connect even just for a 15, 30-minute call and get to know each other, especially if you're a commercial real estate broker and owner. I'd love to hear that story a little bit more too. So
All right. Well, we'll make
great.
sure to put that in the show notes. And to all our listeners, I'm sure you got a lot out of this. I sure did. Thank you, Christina. Once again, this has really been awesome. I'm glad we were finally able to connect and do this.
Same. Thank you so much, Yonah.
And to our listeners, once again, remember, until next time, the best advice comes only when you ask.